like we always do it this time. No, I'm just playing with y'all. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to DCSN Live, episode 1. Wow, we are here. This is going to be your number one source for all things Cardinal football and basketball, also a little bit of the Kings and the UFL, but it's not a competition. Shout out to all my Cardinal podcasts, my fellow Cardinal podcastians out there. We are a family, L1C4, Louisville, First Cards Forever. You have entered card country. So let's get right into it. Before we get into it, please subscribe below. Follow us on all socials, which will be in the bio below. And let's just jump right into this week's news in Cardinal in the world of the card. Here we go. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are approaching football season. It is almost football season. It feels like it's been a long time since we watched the Cardinals take that field, led by Miller Moss, which is unbelievable that looking back that we won as many games as we did with that guy at quarterback. Huge Miller Moss supporter. He played with a Cardinal on his chest, so I am a huge supporter of the man. But number 7 held us back in many games, as we know. The defense was more than we could ask for a lot of times. And Miller Moss held us back. Let's just be honest, let's call it what it is. Miller Moss held us back. Imagine Tyler Shuck with last year's defense. Would have been unbelievable. But anyways, entering year 4 of Jeff Brohm, as we approach week 1, September 6th, we play Ole Miss, an SEC opponent with a possible Heisman candidate under center for them, Trinidad Chambliss. Now, there's a lot to talk about regarding not only this game, but this season for the Cards. First and foremost, Jeff Brohm has been stellar through 3 years. And the fact that somehow fans still find a way to do things like, oh, Jeff Brohm, like one small thing, and they'll be talking about like we need to even consider a conversation possibly, maybe in the future at one point, about Jeff Brohm being on a hot seat, or Jeff Brohm isn't what the city needs. He can't recruit. He can't. You all are actually insane. It is unbelievable when there was reports about him going to Michigan, and some people were like, "Oh, we don't need him anyway." Somebody that would love to coach. Are you crazy? I don't think people understand. Louisville has a top 10 coach in college football leading our team. I don't know if that's ever been the case before, except maybe Howard Snellenberger days. I don't know. I wasn't alive. But what I can tell you is this: we are lucky to have Jeff Brohm. I don't care how much he's asking for. Give it to him. And we saw Josh Hurd come out this year. Sorry for the stutter. We saw Josh Hurd come out this week, I should say, and say that everybody knows him and Jeff had a disagreement during the offseason, but that they both wanted to get it done for the school. We are so blessed to have Jeff Brohm. Are you serious? The fact we even have a coach that's in talks to be the Michigan or Penn State head coach in football should tell you all that needs to be said. But anyways, entering year 4, Jeff Brohm's teams through 3 years, the number one thing I think everybody that's watched every single game knows is consistency. If we can get consistency down, there is nothing stopping us from being in Indiana. There's nothing stopping us from being a team that doesn't have to recruit the very top talent to beat the very top talent that we play. We've seen that in games we've won. We saw that in year 1 against Notre Dame. We've seen that in this past year, obviously against Carson Beck's Miami Hurricanes. And so we have the capability because we have the coach. And if this team is on the field what it looks like it can be on paper, we are in for what is possibly a historic season as Cardinal football fans. But it all starts with week 1. Now, let's start just with quarterback in this preview. Lincoln Kienholz. I don't know if it's Kienholz or Kienholz. Comment below if it's not Kienholz. Like, let me know because I want to get his name right. Lincoln Kienholz, in my opinion, aside from Tyler Shuck, so I guess second behind Tyler Shuck, has the highest potential out of any quarterback Jeff Brohm has gotten his hands on as the Louisville football head coach. This guy's mobility is second to none. Now, Shuck could run too, but not like this kid. This kid is a mobile, dual-threat quarterback who can make a lot, just about every throw on the field. And to me, the number one trait about him, this is what I loved about Shuck too. I remember when Shuck committed, and I was throwing around on Twitter the highlight of him trucking the guy in Oregon. Or was it a block? I don't remember what it was, but he hit stick the guy. And I was like, that toughness, that energy, that leadership, that is exactly what Lincoln Kienholz has too. And you hear it from Ohio State faithful fans all the time. You hear it from Buckeye Nation. They talk about, they rave about him, and it's different. It's different than when you get a Miller Moss coming into Louisville from USC. And USC fans are like, who cares? Didn't want him anyway. All right, whatever, move on. It's a bit different. Ohio State fans were actually sad to see him go. And they had nothing but glowing things to say about him. So I'm extremely interested to see what a guy like him, who what I hear coming from training camp is his number one thing is going to be staying in the pocket, his pocket awareness, and not just running because he wants to run, from what I hear, from what I understand. I can't wait to see what he does in this Brohm offense. And we have no reason. We've been given no reason not to trust Brohm, except maybe the fact that there was nothing Jeff Brohm or Brian Brohm could do to nail into Miller Moss's head how to correctly quarterback a team in the way that they wanted it to be done, because there's absolutely no way. Some of the games I watched last year, and I'm like, that reaction that he had in the pocket, that throw that he tried to make somehow, that is not what we saw even Jack Plummer doing. And Louisville fans, make no mistake about it, they had disdain for Jack Plummer in that year that he was our starting quarterback. They had resentment for him at the helm. But it wasn't like Miller Moss. Miller Moss was absolute. There is no way. I refuse to believe Jeff Brohm coaches quarterbacks to play in the way that Miller Moss did in some of those games. Absolutely abysmal. Absolutely unbelievable. The O-line gave him no help. Don't get me wrong. But goodness. I mean, goodness. It was hard to. And I say this coming from the perspective of somebody, I give everybody the benefit of the doubt. Like I said, I'm supporting Miller. I really hope he does well. I know he gave everything he did. And I'm not trying to down him as a guy. I'm not trying to down him as a leader. I'm not trying to down him as any of that stuff. But what I can say is this. As a football player, as a quarterback, there's a lot of criticism to be had and heaped onto Miller Moss's 1 year at Louisville. And we still broke the eight win threshold, which we have not, which has not gone unbroken since Jeff Brohm came into this university. And so his number one thing is going to be consistency, though. Jeff Brohm is the coach. We have to be able to, if we beat Ole Miss, Jeff Brohm needs to have these guys on their toes entering week 2. There's no other way to go about it. He has to keep them on their toes. But, okay, so that's Lincoln Kienholz, South Dakota legend, Ohio State beloved. But Isaac Brown. Isaac Brown is the most talented player I've seen in a Louisville uniform not named Lamar Jackson. Isaac Brown has Heisman potential if he can stay on the field. This guy is absolutely electric, as you all know. And here's the thing I'd love to point out and talk about in regards to Isaac Brown. The fact he's still here. I know there was a lot of adversity during the offseason with him entering the portal or whatnot and possibly leaving. I don't care how much we paid him. He could have went elsewhere and got more money. I don't care. I don't care. I refuse to believe Isaac Brown could not have went and made more money at a different university. I don't believe it. For him to stick around with us and stay loyal to Louisvillians, enough cannot be said about it. For him to stay loyal to his brothers, to his coach, to Coach Barclay, because I know Coach Barclay had a lot to do with it. Coach Barclay, by the way, enjoy that guy while he's here. His potential is not just going to be Louisville running back coach for the rest of his career. I don't know what he puts in these running backs as cereal. Jawar Jordan, Isaac Garendo, Isaac Brown, Kewan Brown, unbelievable running back coach. Unbelievable. Even to Braxton Jennings, what Braxton Jennings did in the Kentucky game last year. I think we might be taking Coach Barclay for granted, and I really hope Louisville fans understand these are not finished products when we get them. Jawar Jordan was already Jawar Jordan to some extent. Isaac Garendo was not like that at Wisconsin. He was not what he became when he came to Louisville. Kewan Brown, it's hard to believe Kewan Brown will be turning into the running back he's turning into as a 3-star guy out of high school that quick without Coach Barclay. I think Braxton Jennings was a walk-on, an in-state walk-on was Braxton Jennings. And for him to come out and be what he is already entering his sophomore year, it's hard for me to believe that there's a running back coach that is better for Louisville specifically. I'm not saying there's not a better one in the country. I don't really know who's in the country, but then again, I know that the year Jawar and Isaac got drafted, we were one of 2 teams to have 2 running backs drafted in the same draft that year. I think it was us in Georgia, if I'm not mistaken. Rare breed is Coach Chris Barclay. But anyways, I can't wait to see what Isaac can do. I can't wait to see if he can put up a Heisman campaign. I don't care if he sits out some practices. I know Coach Jeff Brohm does, and he should. I don't care. Sit out every practice if you need to, truthfully. That is the way of the new college football and college sports landscape. Agents and other influences and people who are in these kids' ears are going to heavily influence them and push them to make decisions like that if it's what's best for their career. Now, maybe Isaac is actually dealing with injury. I would probably lean that way because I don't see him as somebody who's not going to be on the field as much as he can be. But Isaac Brown is a superstar. Isaac Brown is going to be, if Louisville makes a deep playoff run and possibly makes it to a national championship this year, Isaac Brown will play a huge role in that. Not only Isaac, but the defense. And now let's talk about defense. The Louisville defense. Now, Clev Lubin is another player. I hope we don't take it for granted. This guy is a stud. This guy, we saw multiple games last year where he would have had even more sacks than he did, even more pressures than he did if it wasn't for the holding in the double teams. Clev Lubin is a stud as well on the defensive side, and we need to love him while he's here as well. Coach Ron English taking a step back from the helm on defense this year, and we see Mark Ivey and I believe Coach Ellis come in and take over that defensive leadership role. Now, I think before last year, we thought the defense being abysmal in the Shuck year was Ron English's fault. I think we saw in this past year, maybe it wasn't. Maybe that was just Mark Ivey having more influence over the defense. Who knows? What I can say is this. What we do know is this. All we have to do defensively for a Jeff Brohm team is be at least middle of the pack. Now, I'm not saying we need to be middle of the pack to win a national championship. If you want to win a national championship, offense and defense have to be incredible. They have to be stellar. If we want to have a good season, which I think that might be the low for this team, injuries aside, we just have to have a middle of the pack defense, and Coach Brom's offense will work the rest out. I have no doubt in my mind. No doubt in my mind. Just be serviceable. We see Khalid Perry and Ben Perry coming from UCLA, an old friend of ours coming back to be part of this defense, and Jabari Mack, fifth-year guys. Not Ben Perry, but Khalid Perry and Jabari Mack. I hope we get D'Angelo Hutchinson. Maybe by the time we watch this video, we've heard that D'Angelo Hutchinson has made his way back into the Louisville defensive roster. But that's neither here nor there, because even if he doesn't come, I mean, having Entringer from Iowa, the defensive back, this team, top to bottom, looks the part. All right. It definitely looks the part. The defensive line looks mean. Clev Lubin, you got Thompson on the other end, a transfer who hopefully can wreak havoc on the opposite side of Clev Lubin. We just have a lot of talent. We have a lot of talent everywhere. We have Deion Branch, wide receiver coach, saying that this is the best wide receiving core that Jeff Brohm has had since he got to Louisville. That's high praise. Now, it's not to say he's had the best wide receiving cores ever while he's here, but I mean, he had Chris Bell a season ago, and Chris Bell is one of the best wide receivers in the country. All right, in the country. And so if these guys, if Lawayne McCoy, if Trey Richardson, if these guys can even be a fraction of what Chris Bell and Colin Lacey brought your wideout corps, because make no mistake about it, Colin Lacey would have even been a much better player, much bigger factor if he didn't have Miller Moss at quarterback. I'm sorry, Miller. I'm sorry, Miller. I respect you, Miller Moss, but dang it, you haunt me. You haunt me at night. When I'm going to sleep at night, my biggest fear is my dream has Miller Moss in it. That's my biggest fear, is that Miller Moss is on a football field in my dream. I mean, it's scary. And I was at the ACC championship game where Jack Plummer essentially threw the game away, in my opinion, from what it felt like. I was at that game in 2023. So I know just how hard it was to watch Jack Plummer at times. And Jack Plummer is actually a pretty good quarterback, at least now in the UFL. But he is not, I mean, Miller Moss makes me miss watching Jack Plummer. It was so bad trying to I fancy analysis shows. I fancy just straight up professional. It makes it hard to keep this episode of DCSN live. That one, I remember just how much Miller Moss haunted my football world last year. But anyways, Lincoln Kienholz is here to make up for that. Isaac Brown, I hope he has a great year. The O-line is my biggest worry on offense. Remember I said that especially entering week one, playing an SEC team, the SEC is never short of defensive linemen, never short of meat and potato guys. Remember I said the O-line is the only thing that scares me. And it's not that they don't have guys. Lance Robinson is a guy. All right, we got, what's the kid's name from Boston College? Forgot his name. I can see his face. Oh, Eric's Daughtery. We got him. We got Kason Henry, a guy who was injured at South Carolina, but seems to be very serviceable in what he can bring to a team. And we have Anwar O'Neal from Delaware on the other. I mean, we have guys. But dang it, be that on the field, be guys on the field, because it's easy to say, oh, we got this guy out of the transfer portal and he's highly rated or he has a lot of stars. We were not fans of that team last year. We don't know exactly what they were on the field. We don't know the politics that go into giving these guys their star ratings. And not all these guys were even that highly rated out of the transfer portal. And so I'm very interested. I'm extremely interested to see where things go entering this next season on the O-line. I think that's the biggest question mark for this offense is the O-line. The quarterback is a question mark, but at the same time, we have a bit of a sample size because we went and watched Lincoln Keno's highlights. I don't know about you all. I personally didn't watch too many highlights of the O-lineman that we got committed because O-lineman highlights are O-lineman highlights. Now, I watched a little bit of them. I saw a little bit of video of Eric Daugherty. Obviously, we watched Lance Robinson these past few years, but I'm scared. I'm scared about the O-line entering this year. I pray that they can protect Lincoln Kienholz en route to the Cardinals having a successful double-digit win season is kind of like that's my bar for success. If you win 10, 11 games this year, to me, even with this schedule, if you lose to Ole Miss, I'm not going to freak out. I'm sorry. I'm just not. I get it. It's the first game of the year. It's against an SEC opponent with a stellar quarterback. Do I want us to win? Do I think we can? Yes and yes. Am I expecting it? Not necessarily. And so whatever happens week one, happens week one. From there on, you should win pretty much just about every game. 10 or 11 wins with a great bowl game performance and a playoff appearance, hopefully. And you can lose to Ole Miss. As long as you win down the ACC, you have a shot at a playoff game. Win out in the ACC and win the ACC championship game, you're in no matter what. And so we'll see how things go. I'm very interested to see how things go. But that's my Louisville football preview as we enter week one. But let's move on to basketball. Basketball. Patrick Kelsey. Patrick Kelsey strikes again. Where are we getting this money from? I don't know. Is Papa John back? That's a big thing going around. Maybe he is. But we are spending so much money on a roster. And I will say this. I want us to remember this. We are blessed. As Louisville basketball fans, I get it. We've had a very hard few years. The end of the Pitino era, the Chris Mack saga on the way it ended with Dino Gaudio, all these things. Kenny Payne, I didn't even mention Kenny Payne yet. Oh, gosh. Kenny Payne, we've been through a lot. So I understand we deserve a lot of success. But we are so lucky. We talked about Kentucky last year as a fan base, and let me be a bit critical of us for a second. I was one of them. We talked down on Kentucky, talking about how expensive their roster was. Now, it was the price of that roster juxtaposed to the success of the team, but at the same time, we just spent this much money on a roster. If we don't succeed this year, all right, we got to get super critical of Pat, and it's not about look, circumstances happen, injuries happen, all these things happen. It's not about he has to be perfect. He has to be a Louisville head coach. And we're going to look very stupid. That's how I'm going to be critical of us. I'm just going to say if we do not do well this year with this roster, which has to be the most expensive roster in college basketball, before I even get into Seth Trimble, we look very stupid for talking about Kentucky last year. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. Seth Trimble is a Louisville Cardinal. Yes, Seth Trimble, a 4-year UNC guy, a stellar defender, a guy who put up 30 points on us this past season, is a Louisville Cardinal. Now, this team now it is very, very interesting. Not only because I think we got better with him, but because it still doesn't answer a question that you would think if we got one more big addition would probably be answered with that addition. Does that make sense? Shooting is a question for this team, and I am not going to make the mistake I made last year. Last year, in the back of my mind, I was like, man, we really don't have real big men presence. That's kind of what I was thinking, but I coped. I'm going to tell y'all for real, I coped. And I said, oh, well, Sananda Frew has all this potential. He can be really good. And if Coach believes in Ali Khalifa's like the Egyptian Jokic. Ali Khalifa's like the Egyptian Jokic, and so he's going to be all right. And then it's hard for me to sit here and just to go into the season willy-nilly, go along to get along without mentioning the shooting. There is not shooting on this team, really. Is there people that can shoot? Yes. Are there shooters? Just about none. I wouldn't say Jackson Shellstat is a premium shooter. I wouldn't say Adrian Woolley is a premium shooter. I wouldn't say now, can Adrian Woolley shoot? Yes. He might have some games where he goes 5 for 6 from 3. He's probably the best shooter on the team, in my opinion. Carter Knox, can he shoot? Yes. Is he a shooter? No. Alvaro Figueres, is he a shooter? No. Can he shoot? Yes. So I'm just kind of, I'm a little worried. I'm a little worried, but I'm also extremely excited. And that's the weird thing about what this Seth Trimble commitment does. It gets me even more excited, but it gets me even more worried because I'm like, okay, are we going too far the other way? It's like I know Pat saw this past season, we had all this shooting and it didn't do anything because our defense and our big presence down low were just absent pretty much. So now he's going all defense and all big man presence and kind of neglecting the 3-point line. Now, can it still work? Absolutely, because Pat's offense is about getting open shots. It's about making that unselfish pass. And he can draw up a lot of plays for this team that can result in a lot of easy buckets down low, a lot of lobs. But it just worries me. That's all. It just, okay, can it worry you, brother? It just worries me. Now, this team does, however, reminds me subtly, very subtly about that Michigan team that just won the championship. Now, they had a little bit of shooting, but that championship game, they hit, 2 threes? They won the game with defense. They won the game with defense, athleticism, and toughness. If we can be tough, if we can play defense, and I mean I'm talking top 5 defense in the country, because that's what we should be with Flory Badunga down low. We should be a top 5 defense in the country with Flory and Seth on the front end. Jackson Shelstad might not be the best defender in the world, but Carter Knox's athleticism, Alvaro Figueres' IQ. You got guys on defense. I mean on the bench like Obina Kesey, but hopefully he gets healthy eventually, extremely soon. If not, he doesn't. But Deshane Montgomery, a defender. All right, I'm extremely excited to see this team. That's what I can say is that I do think this will be by far the best team Pat Kelsey has had at Louisville. I do think this team will be great and fun to watch. Specifically defensively, I believe this team will bring back that defensive intensity and toughness. Excuse me, my God. We'll bring back the defensive intensity and toughness that those old Louisville teams had, and that Chucky Hepburn kind of carried the mantle and bringing back a little bit. He kind of gave us glimpses of that Peyton Siva, Russ Smith, get-in-your-face defense that we were so accustomed to in the past. I don't think they'll be a great shooting team. Do I think we can still win a national championship? Yes. Do I think we should expect it? I'm not going to say that. Do I think we should expect a deep tournament run? Yes. I think if this team doesn't make it to the Elite Eight, I think it's a failure. And that's not to say that I would be calling for Pat's job. Depending on circumstances, look, if injuries happen, all right, I can see this team losing in the round of 32 or Sweet 16. If you have a Flory Badunga out, and/or Jackson Shelstad out, your main point guard, I could see us losing early. God forbid those things happen, but if we are relatively healthy, if you say you enter the tournament and all you have out is a calf strain with Zhang, or Zhang, how do you say his last name? Zhang. Anyways, you have an ankle sprain from him, and then London Johnson has a wrist. You have no excuse to not make the Elite Eight minimum. If you have Flory Badunga, Jackson Shelstad, Seth Trimble, Carter Knox, I think if you have those 4 healthy, there are very little excuses that can be made as to why you should make a deep run. And that, I mean, obviously not if the entire rest of your depth is gone, but you know what I mean. If you have that core of guys, even Deshane Montgomery, Deshane Montgomery to me could end up being a cornerstone of this team. I don't know if he's going to start because Seth is on the team now, but he could be a cornerstone. But the Seth Trimble addition, what it does to this Louisville team, first of all, it gives us our main perimeter defender, which we needed, in my opinion. Woolley can defend a little bit. Deshane Montgomery seems to be a really good defender. Seth Trimble is going to man the defense on the front end, and that is what we've needed. That is what we've needed. And I love it. I love it so much. Do I wish he could shoot a little better? Yes. But he's not a terrible shooter. We saw ourselves. The guy can shoot. The guy can knock down shots when given open opportunities. And so it's not like he's not a liability from deep. What he is, though, is somebody that you can't count on to consistently hit them. And so I think these combinations, I think you're going to have to play a little bit. I don't know how easy it's going to be. It depends on Jackson Shelstad's scoring capability that he shows from jump. I don't know how easy it's going to be to always play Shelstad and Seth Trimble together. I think sometimes you're going to have to play Woolley and Trimble. Trimble can play point. He actually is a lot of a point guard. So You might have to play some Trimble Woolley lineups, which I would love. I think that'd be a great combination of toughness, intensity, scoring capability, and defense, kind of mixed in both of them. But man, the shooting, like I'm trying to think which lineup is going to have that guy that you have to guard at the 3-point line or else. We don't have that guy, and that's my biggest fear. All these other teams had that guy. We had Rain Smith in Pat Kelsey's first year. He changes your offense dramatically. We had an Isaac McNeely, a guy who you cannot leave open. Was he a little bit of a disappointment as opposed to what we thought he was going to be entering the year? Maybe, but you can't leave him open at all. He's one of the best shooters in the country nonetheless. And so this year we don't have one of those. And I hope that it doesn't matter. That's what I'll leave the Seth Trimble thing at, because that's the thing about, like I said, about an addition like Seth Trimble. It makes you get more excited because your team got a lot better, but it also makes it keeps you a bit worried because it points you even further toward the shooting inability. Like when you see that a guy like Seth Trimble comes and a lot of people are like, well, but he can't shoot. It makes you think, okay, well, who on this team can? Oh, wait, I forgot. Just about nobody is a shooter. They all can shoot. Nobody's a shooter first. That's not on the first thing on the back of their bubblegum card, as Pat Kelsey loves to say. So I'm interested. to see how the season plays out. Floyd Badunga, I can't wait to see that guy play. Oh my goodness. When I watch his highlights, I get like shades of back when I would watch Montrezl Harrell as a kid. Like my favorite Louisville player to watch of all time was Montrezl Harrell. So much fun to watch. But anyways, I just can't wait for the season in general. We'll have a full, better preview of the season after maybe a couple more weeks go on. Maybe we'll get some preseason action before I talk about them again in full. Maybe we'll talk about some recruiting, some other stuff, some interesting stuff in that and in the recruiting regard for both football and basketball, and we'll cover that in future episodes. But that was this week's episode of DCSN Live. Again, please comment below what you all want to see from me into the future. Subscribe. You got to subscribe. If you don't subscribe, I don't know what you're doing. And follow us we are at Derby City Sports Network on Instagram. I do know that. X is at Derby City SN. And those will be in the bio below. Please follow us on everything. So much Cardinal content to come for y'all. I got, like I said, documentaries, podcasts, interviews, highlights, reactions, all the whole nine. And so, come on back around for the next episode when we come. A lot of content is coming. We are about to flood you all here at DCSN. So again, subscribe, follow us on everything, like the video, comment below something. Just comment something. I don't know. Let me know what you think about the football team entering this week 1 game against Ole Miss. Let me know what you think about the addition of Seth Trimble into the basketball team. And that is episode 1, show 1. We'll see you on the flip side. L1C4.